If you were living here thousands of years ago, and you somehow knew that life revolves around the two sides of the brain, then you would have known that science would eventually come into the world. You would have known that science is just the way the analytical left side interprets reality. Because if you really think about it, religion and science are actually the exact same thing. They both try to answer the ultimate question and explain how and why we're here. Except they both do it in ways which are polar opposites, or more specifically, cranial opposites, because religion or spirituality is the way we try to explain the world around us when we are deep into the right hemisphere as a collective. And science is when we do the exact same thing from the left hemisphere. So the approach changes, the thought process changes, but the truth about our reality doesn't change at all. You see, spirituality utilizes the traits of the right side on its way towards truth. So one prominent tool spirituality has going for it is intuition. We don't know how we know, we just know it. Can we prove what we know through a step-by-step analytical process? Nope. But does that mean our collective intuition is wrong? But just to be clear, I'm not talking about one specific religion or belief system over another. I'm talking about the source of all religion and spirituality. The idea that this place is designed. And if you can't prove it, then intuition is your biggest ally. Now, after some time passes and we move into the analytical left side, not as individuals, as a collective, now this intuition-based approach just doesn't work for us anymore. We expect nothing less than a meaningful step-by-step process where we can tick all the right boxes until we reach the holy grail of existence, the ultimate truth about who we are and how we got here. Two sides trying to forge a path towards truth. Two sides that have their positives and their fatal flaws. With science, for example, you're able to back up your claims, which to all of us seems like a basic requirement. But what happens if the ultimate truth is not 5 or 10 or even 1,000 steps away? You see, the step-by-step process is the blessing but also the curse of the scientific approach, because all that needs to happen is for us to be 1,000,000 provable steps away from the truth, and what you get is the slowest method imaginable. Not inaccurate, just slow. With intuition, there's no step-by-step approach, so whatever takes science 1,000,000 steps to get to, intuition's just sitting there looking bored, saying, "Where were you? I've been waiting here for ages." But of course, the problem with intuition is that you can't prove it. Now, in a perfect world, you'll have collective intuition that's always accurate, and later on, a scientific approach where all the steps are correct. But we all know that's not the case. For scientific theory to come crashing down, all we need is one wrong turn in our step-by-step approach, and we're on a path towards a whole lot of nothing, even if it takes 1,000,000 steps to get to nothing. Just like the time humanity encountered the behavior of subatomic particles, or how the composition of black holes suggests we might be in a kind of holographic reality. Or better still, the fact that we can't see any life on any other spinning sphere out there, while all along we're completely dependent on one of these so-called lifeless spheres for our own life. But do we question our previous steps that got us here in the first place, and then start over from scratch? No, we don't. Because who wants to start from scratch? So, like it or not, what science is actually telling us, and what we choose to take away from it, are two very different things. And if science and spirituality are two sides of the same thing, it means that they're both pointing towards the exact same truth. We just need a few more provable steps to see it. But with spirituality or intuition, you have an even bigger problem, where people can interpret intuition however they want, and there's just no way to verify it, which makes it an ideal breeding ground for the vultures in society. The people that hijack the original spark or the source of a certain belief system for their own benefit, and then ask you to donate your life savings to their righteous cause. So, although spirituality and science are not always accurate, I'll rephrase that. Spirituality and science are extremely accurate. It's how we interpret them that seems to point us in various directions. But both are ways in which nature speaks to us, depending on where we are on our developmental ladder, moving around the intuitive right and analytical left hemispheres. So yes, if you lived here thousands of years ago, and you saw how everyone was obsessed with religion, and you knew that the collective left hemisphere was just around the corner, you would have known that science would replace religion because the left brain replaced the right in the same way we move from childhood into adulthood. In other words, science didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's the inevitable continuation of religion itself. And of course, the fact that religion and spirituality are still prominent today, this shows us that we're never just influenced by one side at one time, because both sides will be working together at all times with an emphasis on one or the other. So people that say, I only trust science, and those that say religion is everything, that's like saying the right brain is wrong or the left brain is wrong. That's just not how nature works. If you want an accurate picture of our reality, you need to consider what both sides have to offer using your own filters to take away the truth from all of the above. So here's a little bonus because you stuck it out to this point of the video. Knowing that we're moving in cycles around the brain, and that right now we're deep into the analytical left side, that would mean that pretty soon we're going to be moving back into the right hemisphere. It would mean the intuition-based spiritual right side is waiting just around the corner for us to move into as a collective. It'll mean the age of science and logic as we know it will at some point give way to a more evolved form of intuition and spirituality. So what do you think? Will our interpretation of science change to accommodate our transition into humanity's next step? Or will it be lost until we reach it again in our last cycle before the physical birth of our planet?